it's not an NCAA tournament, but there's still some positives you can take, with a deep NIT run. Is that kind of what you're preaching to the players here with this, tournament?
Well, I think the first thing I'm doing is congratulating our players for a great regular season. I don't think people realize how difficult it is anymore to get into these type of postseason tournaments. There's been a change over the last few years with all the mid-majors and low-major champions that don't win their college tournament of automatically getting bids to the NIT. I mean, this isn't 20 years ago when it was a good old boy network, and if you were 6-10 in the ACC and had a 16-15 record, you automatically got in the NIT. That just isn't the case anymore. You got to have a special year, and there's a lot of good teams that are marquee programs that aren't playing in the NCAA or the NIT, and so certainly I'm approaching it from congratulating our players on an outstanding season and ACC tournament. Now we're going to try to play well and play as long as we can in this tournament, NIT.
There's always examples, and the notable one this year is Virginia. It goes from a top NIT seed to a top NCAA. Granted, you guys are going to be focused on the NIT right now, but is that the hope, to try to build?
Yeah, certainly you're trying to build positive momentum from these experiences. I don't know that, 1 or 2 weeks extra of playing is, certainly means that you're going to have NCAA tournament success or win the ACC next year. I don't think that correlates. Every team is different in terms of how many guys are returning and different experiences. But, the best thing about it is, for me, is we got a group of guys that are playing well together and enjoy each other. And, we get to keep playing, which is number one, something we're all excited about. It gives us an opportunity to play for another championship. There's a lot of good teams in this field, and we'll have to play very well starting tomorrow to stay in the tournament for very long. But it's nice to continue to coach guys that you're enjoying, and our team is pretty healthy, and so this is a great opportunity for us.
It's kind of a unique point in the year in that in 48 hours you got to learn all about a team. There's no reason.
Yeah, it's much different because for the last couple months you've been playing teams that you're pretty familiar with and coaches that you understand and know well, and tendencies are not different, and then you go to somebody that you really don't know much about. I didn't know much about Georgia State. I knew that Ron's done a really good job there here the last couple of years. They have a bunch of Division I transfers, highly talented players. R.J. Hunter, the coach's son, I've known about him for a while because of Coach Hunter and being a Midwest guy. He was highly recruited by the Big Ten schools in Indianapolis his senior year, and they've got a couple pro prospects on their roster with he and Harrow. So this is not your typical mid-major talent-wise team. They've got some highly talented, highly skilled basketball players. They're very skilled. They don't turn the ball over much. They shoot it well. They play with really 2-point guards. It's a very skilled basketball team. I know that when they made the move to putting White and Hunter and Harrow out there together, that I don't know, they're 22-2 in the last 24 games since they've done that. And in all honesty, they were 17-1 in their league. Probably should be playing in the NCAA tournament, but I've been in that road too. You're a mid-major and you lose the wrong game, and they lost it in overtime, and so now they're in the NIT.
Is there you're used to banging against teams that have 6'9", 6'10" guys these past few months. This looks like a team that lives on the three. They get out-rebounded, but they're going to be a smaller team, and I would think it's going to make you have to think about some combinations as the game.
Yeah, a little bit. There are some teams in our league that are smaller at times. We're not a big team. I mean, Jerron Blossom game is not a typical 6'8", 230-pound high major four-man. He's 6'7", 215, and so he looks a lot like the guys similar to some of the guys we would play against. And Curtis Washington is plenty big at 6'9", 240 and skilled inside. So they're not one of the big ACC front lines for sure. But there are some teams that play a little bit smaller. And again, Manny Atkins is a highly skilled guy that started at Virginia Tech and came here and shoots the ball and drives it. So very perimeter oriented with the way they play because of their perimeter firepower. So that part of the defending that will be challenging.
Off the cuff, do you have an ideal weight for Jerron going forward as he gets a little older?
We probably would like him to be about 10 pounds heavier at some point in his career, and but he's already put on 15 pounds for us. So I mean, he's done a good job, maybe even 20, and he's committed to working. He's a worker, so we're hopeful that that'll happen, but it might take a couple years.
The quick turnaround, what's that process like? How the parts?
Yeah. Well, as soon as the game was over, we had a couple. Lucas McKay, my video guy, had done a great job. He had a couple videos on really just about everybody possible scenario that we thought we would get in the NIT, and had been projecting it for the last couple days. And then as soon as we found all that out, we started calling people in the business that we know to get some general information about their team, maybe some guys that have played them this year. And so been on the phone with a couple coaches that have played them and talked to them about them a little bit, as well as getting more film. And so we've been watching film all night and all day today to try to formulate, somewhat of a game plan. And then we'll have practice this afternoon. And, it's a quick turnaround because the game's Tuesday. And really you just kind of have a shoot around on Tuesday. We'll meet tonight again and go over some video with the team and show them some film of Georgia State. But it's quick.
For y'all as a staff, is it a similar kind of scenario that you faced with a couple years ago when you had to do the game in Dayton? Yeah,
it is. And everything works about the same way too. We didn't know a lot about UAB at the time, and you just, as fast as you can, you get acclimated. I was getting calls from some guys in the tournament about other teams, and everybody's trying to find out as much information as they can about everybody they're playing, and you're just trying to get a few things, and then you got to watch tape for 6, 7, 8 hours and break some things down and try to put together a plan for practice.
You never faced him when he was at IUPUI.
No.
Do you know much about what he does?
Yeah, I know that he's gone to some zone here recently in the last couple of years as a head coach. That they play all zone. They play 2-3, 3-2, 1-3-1. They press some. They just so they change the way their zone is all the time, and it's a different style. Certainly is. I mean, a little bit like Miami, although Miami will play some man-to-man within the games. They almost don't play any. So I mean, it's generally 40 minutes of zone.
For that hour and a half or so between NCAA tournament selection show and NITs, do you see NC State and maybe you wondered what if?
Yeah, certainly a little bit. We've been wondering that for a couple days regardless. Just that you're probably a couple games out. If a couple games go a different way, maybe our name is called. Certainly, I think we were close enough to be in contention, and we played some very good teams late, a couple teams, Duke and Pittsburgh, and had chances to win the games, didn't get those done. I don't know if that would have been enough, but those certainly would have been right there. It's good for the league to get a sixth team in. I certainly think that our league is deserving of that. It's and I said to a commentator at one time in February, somebody was asking me about our league, the strength of our league, and I said, well, you look at some of the teams that aren't doing as well in our league. BC, for example, is having a bad year, but BC's talented enough to go to Syracuse and win. So you still have to play reasonably well to beat BC. There are a lot of places that have teams that are finishing in the bottom of their league that aren't good enough to go to Syracuse and win a game. Georgia Tech at the time wasn't playing as well. They go to Syracuse and win. There are some teams that, Notre Dame beats Duke. There's a lot of talent, and just facing 18 straight games of ACC competition is challenging. It is. You got to play well. Wake Forest, they had all kinds of great home wins. They beat everybody in North Carolina. They beat us. you got to play well. A lot of good players at a lot of schools, and at this level, at this league, I think that's a difference. And so it's not uncommon, nor should it be surprising to fans and media when somebody gets beat by a team that happens to not be doing as well in our league, because everybody's got good players, and it's just really challenging.
Some of that carryover, though, after you've gone through the 3 months of facing that